We were blessed with another 3/4 of an inch of rain yesterday, so that's cool. We're gonna lay plastic for next year's strawberries one of these days, hopefully. Just got a shipment in yesterday from Aaron's Creek Farm. Majestic giant pansies are the ones that everybody's used to. They're big flowers, but they come in colors like purple with a yellow center. The Delta colors are a little different. They're almost like a pastel. They're a little funky. I don't know how well those are gonna sell. That's the reason we only got one tray of those. In here in the greenhouse, we got some fall stuff coming along. I do not know why the gypsy broccoli is not coming up. I know for a fact that I opened a new pack of seed that was sealed. So this should be plenty viable. It's not dried out too much. I think it's just slower because some of it's just starting to poke up. So we might be all right. Some of this stuff like this kohlrabi doesn't look like I got a good stand at all. That's because I didn't hardly have any seed. And so, yeah, I'd say actually about every seed that I planted came up. There just weren't very many of them. And I am just getting everything that is up and going. Oh man, look at them roots, that's pretty. I'm getting everything that's up and going, like this Grand Vantage cabbage that is beautiful. Moved from the end of the greenhouse. I had stuff down there because that end of the greenhouse is a little bit shady. The whole greenhouse has a shade cloth on it, but that end is actually under the woods a little bit, and it actually works pretty good because shade-loving plants we keep on this end, and it stays much cooler down here. And without the sun blazing on it, trays don't dry out nearly as fast. So that's why I had these plug trays down there, because I didn't want to take a chance of them drying out while they're trying to germinate, but I also wanted them to be in here where they had some light. And now I'm getting them down here to this end to keep them from stretching, where they'll be in full sun. UPS kind of gave my pansies a little bit of a fit. They're normally real good about it. Sometimes if plants ship a little bit dry, you'll have some plugs pop out of the holes. It's not a big deal. I mean, we're not gonna like lose them. There's certain things that are cheap enough that I just don't have a whole lot of interest in trying to learn yet. And pansies so far has been one of those things. This upcoming year, 2025, I think we're gonna try to start doing a lot of our own flower seeding, and I'm sure it's gonna be a steep learning curve, but I think I'm ready. And also I need to start trying to save some money everywhere I can. I was actually getting these out to water them, but I think they're in pretty good shape. Pansies, I reread the page in the Ball Red book yesterday, and pansies are pretty sensitive to overwatering, so they're also pretty sensitive to over fertilizing, so we don't want to do either one of those things. But anyway, as y'all have seen me do, if you've been watching very long, I do a whole lot of our own seeding. Got a vacuum seeder, and I've just never really gotten into flowers much, just because I've not known a lot about it. But we do a lot of flowers that are from seed, so I think this coming year I'm gonna start trying to do a lot of this type stuff myself. One thing I've learned, it's my opinion, is these plug trays, once the plants get up and the cotyledons get expanded, they appreciate a little bit of fertilize. It's not totally necessary. They'll do fine without it. But in this business, everything needs to click on along. Like we need to turn stuff out. You don't make money when plants are sitting in the greenhouse. You make money when stuff leaves. A lot of like university articles will be maybe advise you against over fertilizing or fertilizing too early, but I've found in my experience, and I may have screwed some stuff up or still be screwing some stuff up and don't even know it, but these are little bitty cells. Okay, so I mean there's not a lot of fertilizer that's going to be held in there, and I know that concentration is different than volume, but I don't change a thing. Like some stuff you'll see will advise you to fertilize like 100 parts per million or give it 50 parts per million of nitrogen. I don't change anything. That chemilizer down there has got the solution bucket's got 200 parts per million of, I believe what's in it now is my mum feed that I'm using, which is like a 25-30, I think. And just because that's what I've been mixing, that's what I've got mixed in here. So these plug trays just got 25-30 at 200 parts per million, and that's kind of my MO. Like once the seed trays, plug trays get up and going, I start feeding them babies. Every time they need water, they're getting fertilized, because I want them things to go. I want to be able to transplant these things just as quick as I possibly can. So for what that's worth, that's kind of my opinion. I have been told by a friend with personal experience on pansies not to feed pansies more than about once a week, and the ball book specifically said that they're prone to problems from like basically overdosing them on ammonia was one thing that the ball book cautioned against. So little side note on the pansies there. I'm gonna have to do a drench in here. You see that? These little white guys with the spider webs hiding out everywhere. Those are, well, some of them are not hiding out. Some of them are on leaf faces. Those are mealy bugs. They're pretty tough to kill. They're not a huge problem. Like for me, I don't see those very often in my greenhouses. Botrytis is the main problem that I have, and a lot of times you'll have white flies and aphids, but mealybugs are not usually a big problem, but they are pretty tough to get rid of. I have not had those when I have been using my fogger that I made a video about, so a fogger might smoke them. I'm not sure with the right chemical, obviously, but I haven't had the opportunity to use that yet, and I'm not going to fog this greenhouse because there's not that much stuff in here. It's not going to take me long to spray it or drench it. Probably what I'm going to do about that situation is I'm going to run a chemical called mainspring. I can't remember the rate on it, but it's in the label. I think I'm going to put mainspring in a bucket down there at the proper concentration and run it through the chemilizer and water everything in this greenhouse, and it should fry them mealybugs on what they are on and keep them off of stuff that doesn't have them yet. Mum crop is coming along nicely. I am tickled to death with it so far. This kind of weather we're having will test your skill, I guess. If I don't think that's the right word. This kind of weather is makes it a challenge to keep the fungus out of everything that we grow. I am trying my best to grow these things out of these crown buds that we've got going on. There's an article on ball that my friend Sandy sent to me, and it talks about this on the ball tech support, something like that, on their website. But it talks about just feeding them and pushing them as hard as you can to try to grow the foliage beyond these crown buds. And I don't know how this all works together with the PGRs, or plant growth regulators, and fertilize. This is a learning experience, first time for me on using these PGRs, so we'll see. But it's only, as you can see here, it's only certain varieties that I've got an issue with crown budding on. The way that we got everything laid out is varieties are like, this is a variety, and then when we ran out of that, we turned into the other one and came back down the road. So this here would be a different color, different variety than this. And you can see there's no crown budding going on this plant, and these all the way down the row have got crown budding. So I don't know what the deal is. The guys are really busy right now. We're starting to get into some of our late plantings. We try to have a little bit of a slow period in the middle of summer, because produce is so abundant, it gets cheap, and it also doesn't sell as well. So we want to be really heavy on all the produce as early as we can possibly get it, and then we try to taper that down for the middle of the summer. Not only is it difficult to grow, aggravating and expensive to grow, but it doesn't sell as well. August particularly is a tough month to move produce. And then we try to ramp back up. Not as big as the spring, but we ramp back up for the fall, because produce is harder to come by because not everybody's growing it. I don't know if a deer or what, something ran through here, but you can tell that mum has gone without food, because that was laying on the ground. I try to walk through this mum pad, well, both of them, real regularly. Just about every day I try to walk through here, but it's easy to miss a spider that's knocked out. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with this. So it is about time to cut the fertilizer off to these mums and get on to the next project here. Alright, y'all. So this is a spray log that I use. Like, I don't pay for software to keep up with my spray records. I've got a Google sheet that I made, and that's how I keep up with my records. And also I'm following the worker protection standard, because I share this Google sheet with my employees so that they can pull it up anytime and tell what I've sprayed. And it's got re-entry interval, SDS, and label, chemical name, and EPA number for every single chemical that I have. If this is something you might be interested in, if I can figure out a way to share this without sharing it on my personal email, if I have enough people interested in it, I would probably figure out a way to put this out for y'all. But the reason I show this is it's pretty handy, because pesticide labels don't stay in good condition always, especially if it's something there's a small rate on that you don't use all that often. For example, right here, I'm fixing to run some venom to tomatoes because I have got some major thrips and tomato spotted wilt virus issues, and I'm just going to pull up my venom label. Real handy to just go to my spray log on Google Sheets on any device I've got with me, anywhere, anytime, and have the label right there. If this spray log deal would be something that I have enough people interested in, I will figure out a way to share this Google Sheet out, you know, and I'm probably, if I'm going to do that, I will make a later video and show you how to use it and how everything's linked up. And I'll have to go through and modify and make a copy and remove all my information, but y'all let me know in the comments if that's something y'all be interested in. Alright, got my potassium nitrate, got my venom, and I don't think I talked about this, but venom's pretty expensive but pretty effective insecticide. So if I can get it to focus here. Well, I don't know if y'all can read that or not, but I can't. It says, for control of listed sucking and chewing insects: stink bugs, cucumber beetles, flea beetles, harlequin bugs, aphids, leaf miners, thrips, white flies, squash bugs. I mean, it does a really good job on a lot of things. And you've got a lot of residual activity, so it hangs around for a while. If I can work it in my program, I try to use venom. I can't remember what the cost per acre is. Again, it's pretty expensive, but it does a really good job. And anytime I can run something through the drip and not have to spray it and expose myself to it, that's the route I'm gonna go. With all this rain, I really need to get row meal sprayed. But another thing that I've been needing to do pretty bad is these pumpkins that we got planted on old strawberry plastic. I got a lot of crabgrass, and just grasses is the primary issue coming up in between the rows. So I'm gonna spray them right quick here this morning. I think the sun's been on it long enough, it should have dried a lot of the dew off. I use Volunteer. There's a lot of different things out there you can use. Tap Out is another one. I believe it's identical to Volunteer, same active and same concentration. But Post is another one. Post is a different active ingredient, I'm pretty sure, than Volunteer or Tap Out. But as long as you follow the label, won't hurt your crop at all. Kills the heck out of the grass. I can't really think of much that it's not labeled for. I use Volunteer on strawberries to kill my ryegrass in like late February, early March. Anytime I've got a cover crop, some kind of rye or oats or something in plastic, I try to plant the crop and let it get up and rolling, and then kill the cover crop, because that gives me a little bit more residual control from weeds the longer I can leave that cover crop there. So anyway, I'm gonna go get these sprayed. So Jessica from the Ag Medicine Institute just came out and made me shave my beard so she could give me a respirator fit test so that I'm all legal to run Vapam fumigant on my strawberry fields. Feel like I'm naked now, but it'll grow back. I'm gonna go mix up some Liberty and get some row meal sprayed. All this rain we've had, it really shot the weeds up through the pre-emerge. You know, pre-emerge will hang around as for a pretty good while, but when it goes to raining like it has been here, to where the ground's growing algae, you know, you've kind of got all your pre-emerge washed out at that point. And as you can see, these tomatoes are humping it real happy, and the guys are coming down through here putting another string on them right now. This is, most people call it Florida weave. So we go down one side around the stick and then weave in between the plants, kind of like a sewing machine, around the stick, down and around the stick, and come back the other side, and they will capture the plants. It's a pretty quick, efficient way. Works really good. They are masters at it. You can see we've lost some plants here and there to, really, I guess, adverse weather is what I would say. Some of it's southern blight, which we've got a problem with. Some of it is tomato spotted wilt virus, because we've got a pretty bad thrip issue in this area. All we can do is try to control the thrips. That's about the only thing we can do for the tomato spotted wilt. So that's why we're missing all the plants, and some varieties are worse than others. For the southern blight, we've got a Provia top and blocker that we can run through the drip. I'm getting ready to plant some pansies, and we've got the Delta Clear mix and we've got Majestic Giant mix, and I find it's helpful to me to go through and think about how many plants I got. And I mean, I've already got an idea. I don't go at it like completely half-cocked. I know how many hanging baskets I'm going to do, and how many how many hanging baskets, how many pots, how many of the owl's pouches that I want to do ahead of time. But I find that it's helpful to think through, okay, I'm going to put 6 plants per pot or 5 plants per pot. Pansies they're not as prolific as some things, so we're going to pack them in there because we want them to be big and pretty. If you're going to charge $20 for a hanging basket, it needs to look like $20. So I like to go through and do the math about, like, all right, I know I've got 288 cell plug trays, and I know these trays here that we're planting in are 36 cell liners like this. So just try to figure out how the math works out the best. And no, there's not going to be exactly 288 plants per tray. They're liable to be a little bit less, but we can work out the little fine details there as we go. But I like to go through and just kind of figure out, all right, how many plants is it going to take, how's it going to work out, and know exactly what I need before I get started. That's just my OCD personality. But I got to have 24 trays, 20 baskets, and 10 12-inch pots. So there we have it. All right, well, I got all of Delta Clear done, and that is only one variety, and we're not doing very many clear. The clear are the solid color pansies. They're not nearly as popular, other than white. They're not nearly as popular as the blotch pansies. So all the rest of these will be majestic giant blotch. So be significantly more of those, but it's about 7 o'clock. We're gonna call it a day, and I will see y'all on the next one. I appreciate y'all watching.